Then with 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. And ask how you could get a pair of Icon Pass 2-day sessions. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Schedule a quote now at windownation.com.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
Shop the President's Day Super Sale at Furniture Row. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. Check out special purchases while they last. Get 60 months no interest financing. FurnitureRow.com.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight. Taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
Welcome in to Denver Sports Tonight. Your host, you're rocking with me, Marcello Romano, and Dante Gomez, the Mez. Dante, or it could be Dante B, depending on what kind of takes you have tonight, Dante. But you're normally an A guy. I just don't want you to take that for granted and, just not do an assignment and then your grade drops. So,
see, I was typically more of the B kind of student. Because of what you just explained. I would kill it on the test, kill it on the quizzes, and then maybe there was an assignment or two that fell through the cracks.
The weekly assignments weren't quite as important for you. All right, well, we will have you for the next hour. Obviously, we're going to get into the topic du jour. The topic of the day is, and it's been for a while, Davis Webb officially named as the offensive coordinator, did that yesterday. But, of course, now we've had all the discussion on, since that, what all does it mean, Basil? Like, what does that mean for the Broncos going forward? And listen, man, there's not many times that a 14-3 team who got the number 1 seed in their side of the playoff bracket has as many moves as the Broncos have had, as just within, they were making moves 48 hours after the game happened. Coaches being fired, coaches being hired and taken off or away from the Broncos organization. So it's been kind of a crazy, quick turnaround to an offseason. So, Dante, listen, these are the type of moves that are normally made for a team that was supposed to go 14-3 that won 8 or 9 games. These are the type of moves that Baltimore was making, Pittsburgh was making. Not normally when it's your first real taste of success and only third year of a tenure of a head coach.
Or it's the opposite of teams want to hire your coordinators. The teams with these coaching vacancies are itching to hire the number 2 defensive coordinator in the NFL, or they're itching to hire the guy that molded Bo Nix into the success that he is just in year 2 of his career. So in this case, it was neither of those. Obviously, some assistants had moved on to become bigger roles, most notably Lombardi, or not, is it Lombardi?
Jim Leonard,
sorry. Jim Leonard moving on to be the Bills' defensive coordinator over there. So, but for the most part, a lot of these were the Broncos moving on from their own guys, with the wide receivers coach, the DBs coach, the offensive coordinator. So interesting moves, but I like it. It shows that they're not satisfied with the 14-3 season, and most of the time there is improvements to be made. They had a great record, obviously. The point differential wasn't that great. They weren't blowing out a lot of teams, and winning is the bottom line in the NFL is obviously going out and winning games, but you would have liked to see it look a little better than it did this last season. So I think there's improvements to be made, and I applaud Sean Payton. I applaud this Broncos ownership for noticing that and bringing in hopefully the guys that are going to solve those issues.
I think it's one thing for the guys to get hired, and that's because of the success. It's another thing for the most questionable one was obviously probably Addison Lynch and relieving him of his duties as the DB's coach. The other ones, it makes sense, but it also leads to the question and the speculation last week that they were willing to let Joe Lombardi walk because the idea was that they wanted to create room for this young superstar in Davis Webb, which, well, it remains to be seen what's going to happen with that. And I've listened to everyone kind of break it down. I kind of like the way that Zach was talking about it today, like when you're young and hungry and wanting that opportunity. how would you take a step back and be like, I'm not going to get what I want here, but it's a better position to be in? I get that. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want, if you're that much of a superstar and you believe in yourself, obviously you get to that point, he has confidence in his ability to do something like that. The dude was interviewing for head coaching jobs. I think James Palmer just said it, like, that people really liked this guy. So now we get into that debate of Sean Payton, which I don't see this happening. I really don't, just because of what he's been as a head coach. And James Palmer alluded to it a few minutes ago with the guys on the drive. Is that's like his deal. That's his identity as a coach. He was a play caller, as an offensive coordinator, and he's been the play caller the rest of his career, all of his tenure in New Orleans, and so far here, save for the one preseason game where they allowed Davis Webb to call plays. How does it shake out? And how do you make sense of it in your mind, Dante, if you're looking at it going, well, why would he come back if he's just going to be relegated to the role, which he's not a moron. He saw what Joe Lombardi did. And if you think, oh, I'm going to just step into that role, yes, you're getting more money. That's great. You have the title now. But he wants to be able to showcase his abilities as a coach. And I don't know if Sean Payton keeps that duty of being a play caller. I don't know how you do that.
Well, I think he'll have an expanded role in the offensive playbook, in the quarterback room, in the weekly meetings, in the game planning. So I think he'll have an expanded role as far as that goes. Play calling, obviously, yet to be seen. We had James Palmer on the drive. He kind of echoed the same sentiment as we'll see. We'll see what happens there, because a lot of people that know Sean Payton pretty closely, and he mentioned this as well, said they could never see him giving up play calling. And I'm kind of in that same boat, as Sean Payton is such a control freak, and I think he thinks so much of himself, rightfully so. Yeah. He's an incredible head coach, an incredible offensive mind in the NFL, and his resume speaks that the last decade plus here. So I get why you would want to continue to be the play caller. And to me, there is something admirable about winning and losing based on what you are calling out there. And I think there's something to that, of going down with the ship, and I'm not saying that they're going to go down, or being the guy that's successful in calling plays. So I think there's something admirable about Sean Payton continuing to call plays if that's the route he wants to go. But obviously the NFL's history is littered with, at some point, these guys have to get their opportunity to call plays and prove themselves as a coordinator. So it could be the flip side of that. I'm excited to see what it is. I would assume it would be some sort of hybrid role of each of them are having input on play calls.
Yeah, but was he laying down breadcrumbs for us on what his thinking is? Like a month ago, when he was asked the question about, when he was younger, he would call a reverse on the 8-yard line, wasn't even thinking anything about it. He doesn't drive at night in the rain anymore because he's getting older. I think they played that at the end of the drive as well. It's almost like he's getting to that, and he loves Bill Parcells. He's getting to that realization of, and Bill Parcells was, you think Sean Payton's a control freak. Bill Parcells had everything laid down like exactly how he wanted it. And if you didn't fit into that, you were gone. So do you think there's a maturity about Sean Payton saying, maybe I just don't have that fastball anymore? Because all we have to do is look at the numbers for the past 2 seasons, Dante. The offense has struggled. What was the big frustration? A lot of last year and most of this year. It wasn't really the defense.
No, not at all. The defense has been great. Inconsistent offense and bad in the red zone.
It was like you never know what you were going to get. You'd get a game where you put up 40-plus points against the Dallas Cowboys here, and you think you would take that momentum to the next week. Following week, you kind of sputtered out again, all the way up until December, really. The offense was just look at the numbers, the 3-and-outs, how many punts you had. So it's not like they've been phenomenal. This isn't the Saints-led or Breeze-led Saints where you were constantly just moving the football and scoring points. This has been quite different for Sean Payton, and I imagine some of it you're going to go, oh, well, I have a young quarterback. It's going to take some time. I don't think he relinquishes the play calling duties for that reason alone, is that this will be Bo Nix's 3rd year. And Mike Shanahan famously said it here. It always takes a quarterback about 3 years to really know their system and be able to go out there and run it the way it was designed to be run. So I think it's far-fetched to think, oh, you're going to get him to that 3rd year. Bo Nix has all this experience built up now and now I'm going to give those play calling duties over to a young superstar. I don't see it happening, man. I just don't see it in his identity.
I don't either, just based on what I've seen from him, but you never know. Sean Payton can surprise people, and maybe he's a smart enough guy to realize when it might be time to give it up. And I'm not saying that's necessarily now. Obviously, they went out and won 14 games. They hosted the AFC Championship here in Denver. So by no means was this an unsuccessful season by the Denver Broncos. But Davis Webb, he obviously values Davis Webb's mind. That's why he was willing to part ways with a guy that he's coached with for a long time in Joe Lombardi as his offensive coordinator to make room for Davis Webb to have a larger role and more responsibility on this team. So I think he values Davis Webb as other teams across the country are also valuing Davis Webb, interviewing him for head coach, interviewing him for offensive coordinator. So I'm excited to see what Davis Webb adds to this room, but I'm with you. I don't know. I'm kind of riding the fence here in terms of who's going to be play caller next year. I really don't know. But either way, I have confidence in whoever it's going to be because Sean Payton's done it for a long time. Davis Webb's kind of the rising star around the league. So obviously he has something that teams want. And I think either way, Bo Nix is going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, but like what was said to him to get him to agree to come back? Because I do believe that he wants to be able to showcase his skill set as well. And I'd almost look at it like this. Like maybe Sean is in his mind now, like, I think I could do that. Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
I have.
So, when he finally takes the deal from the SEC and he goes into Stratton Oakmont and he's like, I'm going to give up I'm leaving. And then by the time he's done talking to his sales floor, he's like, I'm not leaving. I think it could be like one of those situations where it's like, he might get to the brink of being like, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do it. And then I just don't know. Like, I don't know how you split up those duties.
Well, there's been some examples that we have heard of in the last couple days since this all materialized. But Andy Reid apparently calls on certain downs or certain areas of the field or certain times of the game, whether it's the last couple minutes before the half or the last couple minutes of the game. So I think there's a way you could do it that way, first and second down versus third and fourth down. I think there's a lot of ways you could split it up. And in terms of what Sean Payton said to Davis Webb to convince him to come here, I don't know if it takes all that much convincing. You're a premier organization in the NFL. You have a young, talented quarterback in Bo Nix that you've already worked with. Do you really want to restart and work with some other quarterback that you're not sure if they're going to be successful or not? And you're under Sean Payton, one of the best head coaches currently in the NFL, one of the best offensive minds currently in the NFL. So it's a pretty good setup you have here as offensive coordinator. There's only 32 of these jobs. It's very difficult to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL. And I liked one of the texts on the text line here. They had a great point in terms of people all assume that Davis Webb was promised offensive play calling duties because that's what's going to lead him to get the next job that he's looking for, which would be a head coach, obviously. And it was from...
Who do you? I mean,
where was it here?
What do you,
oh, here it is. From
ahead.
the 2153, the Rams OC has never called plays, and he just got. So I guess this is more general speaking. The Rams OCs have never called plays, but they get hired as head coaches almost every year, and that's a great point. Obviously, all those guys under Sean McVay get hired like crazy, whether it's LaFleur's or whether it's Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, or I think there's another 2 or 3 examples of that. Obviously, Sean McVay in Los Angeles is the brains behind the operation, but these other guys, there's value that they can bring without technically being the play caller.
Yeah, but I think if you look at it, and I know that we're giving Sean his flowers. It doesn't really sound like we are because of the way we're breaking this down. What he's been able to do and accomplish in the 3 short years that he's been here is nothing short of phenomenal, really, considering where the organization was when he took it over, what happened at the quarterback position, being kind of stuck with the dead cap hit from the Russell Wilson deal. So I'm not trying to say like he needs to get rid of it. I'm just asking, what would be the better scenario for the Denver Broncos? Because it's not like they've been killing it offensively. That comes with some context, too. You had a rookie quarterback last year. In those first 4 games of his rookie season, people were really questioning the decision. Now, Bo Nix has done everything to kind of prove that he's a franchise quarterback from that point on. And to lose him in an AFC divisional game at the very final part of it, we never know what would have happened. But what is the better scenario? Because it hasn't been great through 2 years. And if you're Davis Webb and you are allowed those opportunities, because I think at the beginning of the season, Dante, you would be like, okay, go ahead and do your job. And I'm going to allow you that leash. The first time you make a mistake, the first time he makes that 4th and 1 call, you just brought up Sean Payton being a control freak. How quickly is he going to pull that back? Because what I really don't want to have happen is what happened in Detroit this year, where who was it? Was it John Morton that was calling the plays? They were okay. Dan Campbell didn't like it. He took it back. The first game he took it back, they were great offensively. But the rest of the season, they still kind of struggled. And a lot of those decisions were Dan Campbell's alone on some of the 4th down decisions, but he was calling the plays the remainder of the season. So I don't want to see one of those back and forth type of deals because we have seen that in the NFL too, and that doesn't usually spell success either.
No, absolutely not. You never want to be questioning who's going to be calling plays on any given weekend. You kind of want to go into the season with a plan, and I assume they will. But again, I think Sean Payton's such a control freak that I wouldn't be surprised if he calls plays until the day he's not coaching in the NFL anymore. I really would. That would make sense to me. And Davis Webb obviously has great ideas and can be a big part of the offense in game planning, and maybe he has input here and there on certain plays, but I think on a down-to-down basis, I expect it to be Sean Payton.
If you gave him this...
And I'm okay with that, by the way. I think Sean Payton is an incredible offensive mind, and the game hasn't passed him up. Obviously, Broncos were the 1 seed, win 14 games. Bo Nix looks like he's going to be the franchise quarterback here in Denver, so I get that the offense hasn't looked great, but it almost feels like you're nitpicking with the Broncos, given the results that they've had with Sean Payton over the last 2 years, 2 playoff appearances.
No, I'm not nitpicking. I just don't want them to take that step back. And I think Zach and Phil did an interesting job of saying teams that did this and that, like the type of drop-off they have after having a successful season like this. And maybe this is just the Broncos being proactive to try and avoid that fall. I said with Will last week, they'll probably have a worse record, but they're probably likely going to be a better overall team. And a lot of that would be because you're playing a first-place schedule coming up. But it's, dude, if you gave him the ultimatum, Sean, I can get you to the Super Bowl in the next 3 years. You have to relinquish your play-calling duties. I didn't say win the Super Bowl. You're going to have to, I can get you there. Would he take that? Or the flip side is you can just continue to believe in yourself in doing that job. Which would you think? A younger Sean Payton obviously would probably like, get out of here. I got this. And there's a lot of that Sean Payton still left in him. But we've also never really heard a coach be as vulnerable as he was when he laid out running it and the risks and rewards of play calling. I think he's seriously kind of considering it, not relinquishing it altogether because I don't think that will happen, but a big portion of it. I get what people are saying about, Joe Lombardi. Well, he coordinated everything in the office, built it all up, and that's not what Davis Webb's looking for, I don't think. I just don't think that doesn't fit what a young superstar would be doing.
I get that, but he comes from a football background in some of the ways that these other guys don't. Sean McVay never played in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan didn't play in the NFL. Those guys have been schemers. That's why they are able to get to where they are. Davis Webb played in the NFL. He was a quarterback in the NFL not that long ago. So I think he is still in the mindset of a team guy, and he's going to play the role that he's asked to get played. So I don't think he's going to be complaining necessarily if he's not calling every single play throughout the season.
Go out to the RamosLaw.com text line. A couple of these here real quick. One from the 970-888 is from Mike. I have never heard so much criticism about a coach of a 14-3 team that lost the championship game by 3 points. That comes from Mike. Well, I mean, I'm not really criticizing Sean. I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm laying out the case for you that...
Well, I am curious then. Who would you prefer calling plays next year? Let's say it has to be 100%. There is no hybrid schedule in any way. It's either this person's doing it or that person's doing it.
Davis Webb.
You'd rather have Davis Webb?
Yeah, I'm ready for that type of a switch. Listen, if this team had been just rolling offensively, and it's either whether it's just like they were being more consistent and it looked better to me, I maybe have a different opinion on it. But I would say... Sean Payton at this point of his career, I think he's more valued as more of a CEO leader type of role.
You don't think he can do both?
I don't think he can. He's proven he can still do it, but he's saying it's quick now. He's got to be quick. And with age, you kind of lose that a little bit. So that's why I was wondering, when I brought up the breadcrumbs, it was he laying it out there that there's going to be that type of a switch in what he does for the Broncos next year. He's outweighing that versus, and I think ego. People say ego, and it's like a bad word. You don't get to where he got without having an ego and being confident in yourself. So that's what he's weighing out, that decision of, I think he probably believes he still can do it. But his mentor, who he talks about all the time, Bill Parcells, he didn't do that. He just ran the organizations. That's where Sean Payton got his opportunity, and maybe he sees a little Sean Payton and Davis Webb, and he's going to get that opportunity. I don't know. Who would you rather have calling?
I think I'd still rather go with Sean Payton. He's a proven commodity, and I think we're forgetting how good the Broncos offense looked for a majority of the second half of this season. I think Bo Nix took a huge step forward in the second half of the year, and they really relied on him. And when Sean Payton was able to turn the offense over to Bo Nix and have him throw the ball 35-plus times a game, it looked pretty good. So I'd rather go with Sean Payton at this point. Obviously, if he makes the decision that it shouldn't be him, then I would agree with that decision because he's the head coach of the football team. He has a crazy amount of experience in the NFL, in football in general, offensively. So I think whatever he decides would be best. But if it was up to me to pick, I would rather have Sean Payton do it.
It's safe. This also from the 296, I think there is a lot more drama inside that building than we think. I think that one's kind of interesting. I think most of it will kind of just fizzle out. You're coming off a season where, you know, you had the opportunity. It looked like you were going to get the opportunity to go to the AFC Championship game, and that all got kind of blown up when Bo Nix got hurt. And then last week, the too much information, the over-information about your quarterback to the point where Bo Nix is calling his own press conference. I don't know that there's a ton of drama. I didn't love that situation. That's not nothing. A lot of people are saying that's no big deal at all. That was something. That was friction, I believe, between your head coach and your quarterback. Nothing that they can't overcome at all by any means, but that's an interesting take on it. Here, real quick before we go to break, Dante. This was supposed to be the week for the New England Patriots, right? They got to the Super Bowl. Vrabel got them there. Drake May's playing. They were supposed to have two guys being elected to the Hall of Fame. In fact, if you would have asked anybody 2 weeks ago, you'd have been like, damn, that's a big week for that organization. You're playing in the Super Bowl. Everyone probably assumed Bill Belichick was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not. Then after that happened, people were like, well, he couldn't have Bill and Bob up on the stage together. They don't really like each other anymore. So we'll get Robert Kraft in. Found out today that's not going to happen either. So people up in the northeast region of the country, while your team is still playing in the Super Bowl, how do you see these two? Is this a snub for both of them not to be first ballot Hall of Famers?
Absolutely, it's a snub to me. You seem to be relishing in this a little bit. You have a little smirk on your face when you're breaking the news that neither Robert Kraft or Bill Belichick will be first ballot Hall of Famers.
I'm not saying they're not worthy of it. I think they both are worthy of it, and they'll get to the Hall of Fame. But for all the years that I've had to watch Denver Broncos who were worthy of being first ballot Hall of Fame, how Mike Shanahan's not in the Hall of Fame yet is, I think that's criminal. And he's had to sit and bide his time, not just 1 year. Not like, oh, I didn't get first ballot. That's a first world problem for these guys. You're getting in for sure. There's numerous players and coaches that have had to wait their turn, so to speak. And let's not forget what happened. I don't care about Deflategate. I think that's ridiculous. Spygate was real.
Lost first-round pick for it.
Dude.
And you hardly ever see that happen, a punishment being losing a first-round pick, so obviously it was real.
It was so bad that Roger Goodell took the tapes. He didn't use them as training tools, like take them out to the other 31 teams. Here's what you can't do. Here's what you can do. This is why they're in trouble. They, burned the tapes. They destroyed them. It was like, in fact, never talk about this again. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right? And you won championships, at least one that we know of, with that Rams when you beat the greatest show on turf. Are we just going to forget that? Hell, Pete Rose, How many do people criticize him for years and years? I think at some point or another, cheating's cheating. You just sound like you didn't believe it, or maybe Dante was just too young for it.
A little bit of both. No, I believe it happened, but I also believe that he has an incredible resume outside of the one Spygate Super Bowl. So
Bill or Bob?
both.
Okay.
Bob Kraft has 11 Super Bowl appearances since buying or taking over as the owner of the Patriots. The AFC North, the AFC South, and the other 3 teams in the AFC East have a combined 10 Super Bowl appearances during that same window. He outranks them, and that's 11 other teams there. So everything besides the AFC West, basically, he has owned the other teams there. So I just think it makes all the sense in the world that he should be in the Hall of Fame. All they do is win. They have another Super Bowl appearance this year here. Yeah. They've won with different quarterbacks. They went to a Super Bowl with Drew Bledsoe. They went to a bunch with Tom Brady. Now they're in one with Drake May. So to me, he's one of the greatest owners in American sports, not just the NFL, in American sports in total. And his track record would say so. And obviously Bill Belichick, the amount of Super Bowls he has as well, I think makes no sense that they're not in.
You know who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, though?
Who's that?
Tom Brady.
I think he's already.
And I think
he's not in yet. You're right.
No, he had to serve that time, which they changed that rule. Which I was wondering how Bill Belichick was already up for it, but they changed that rule so it's not the 5-year thing anymore.
Which I like. I very much like that addition to the rules because the coaches are typically a lot older when they retire from coaching, and they should be alive when they get into the Hall of Fame. And it only helps that process of them getting in quicker if they only have to wait the 1 year versus a player that retires when they're even at their oldest.
So you would have voted for 40. Him?
Yeah, I would have voted for both of them. I would have voted for all 3 of them.
Boteo, you're back there. You give him the votes if you were a voter? No. All right, man. Brady will be in a first ballot Hall of Famer because I think a lot of their success came from him playing quarterback. And I think you can't deny that. I know people are like, well, does this mean he's not going to be a first? It's a joke. Tom Brady will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, you just said a lot of their success. The owner oversaw all the success. How could he not be
How many passes did he throw? How many comebacks did he have? And I would even argue.
Oh, so you're arguing that no owner should ever be in or no coaches should ever be in?
No.
Well,
I didn't say that.
How many passes did Mike Shanahan throw?
Not any. He called the plays, though.
Okay. So you don't think any owner should be in?
I didn't say that.
That was your argument against Robert Kraft getting in.
No, I didn't make that argument
at
all.
You just said how many passes did he throw?
My argument was they are relishing in the success because that dude played quarterback for them. And it's the most important position. I just pointed out
that they went to a Super Bowl with Drew Bledsoe and they're at a Super Bowl with Drake May.
And they're probably going to lose both.
Okay.
And that 96 team, the Broncos don't blow it against Jacksonville. Patriots aren't in that Super Bowl, dude.
Well, now you're just changing history. That is what happened, Cello.
It is what happened. I'm just saying if that didn't happen and the Broncos won, Patriots aren't getting there.
And here I thought Will Pearson wasn't going to be on the show today.
Oh, wow.
Changing history over here, Marcello and Will.
Jeez, we feel sorry for Bill and Bob. Coming up, the Denver Nuggets are in Motown tonight. We talk about the game they had against OKC and what it's looking like tonight. And could that be a possible finals matchup? Dante and I, we just change history on this show, and we do it again next.
The champ! Are you ready? Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at DenverSports.com/superfan. That's DenverSports.com/superfan.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Hey, Mom. It's me. Oh my gosh, you'll never believe what I just opened for Valentine's Day. A sapphire ring from Hellsberg. Just like the one I lost years ago. Remember how excited I was when you gave it to me? I cannot believe you remembered that story. I guess you were right. I really found the one.
This Valentine's Day, create a moment that means something with up to 40% off gifts at Hellsberg. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Dunright. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
This February, save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X, outsmart the elements.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Dental phobia? Consider sedation dentistry with Clarkson Dental. Their highly trained team will lead you through an exceptional dental experience from that first fearful call all the way through to aftercare. Call the most experienced sedation dentist and staff. Clarkson Dental, coloradosedation.com.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. Restore your bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning hair with the same simple one-day treatment I receive from Dr. Tanya Pauls of Advanced Hair. Your own natural hair begins regrowing the very next day, and your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Back in Denver Sports tonight, Marcelo Romano, Dante Gomez, although this is kind of a Don't B performance. I'm going to be honest with you, man. With
challenging you is
bringing up that bogus that you felt bad for Bob and Bill because they're not first ballot Hall of Famers.
You know what? I'll just agree with everything you say going forward, Joe.
That's how you get your A's.
Yeah,
That's
you
how you
prefer
get
that.
your A's. I'm kidding, man. Hey, that's what we do. You're supposed to have an opinion on it.
Well, apparently that's a B performance to you.
No, I'm giving you crap, man. It's I like that you have a difference of opinion on it. I don't really care either way on them.
You seem
them
to
getting
be happy
into.
that they got slighted.
I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I think we're making something out of
With
nothing.
the greatest owner and the greatest coach of all time not being first ballot Hall of Famer? Who is a first ballot Hall of Famer if the greatest coach and the greatest owner of all time aren't?
Tom Brady. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Listen, man, when
He's
you
just
say
the only one?
You brought up that this guy oversaw everything, and that's why they were successful. If he oversaw everything, he didn't know that they were cheating. Bob Kraft has said that, right? He didn't know what was going on as far as filming another team's practice, so you had an idea what they were going to. Listen, I'll give you a little insight into it. So when I was an athletic trainer up at CSU, when you play a road game or a bowl game, you go out to that stadium like the night before. You've done your game plan, all the installation, and you do like a walkthrough where you literally walk through the plays that you're most likely to run. A lot of time it's in the red area, all that different stuff. So for them, you're a baseball guy. If you knew a curveball's coming, how much easier is it for you to hit it?
Probably decently easier.
So
like if they were like banging a trash can or something.
They had a pretty damn good
to let you know.
idea of what they were going to be seeing, especially at least for that one championship. I'm not trying to diminish what they were able to do. You still have to go out there and execute it. But a lot of times, if you know the answers to the test before you're given it, it makes life a hell of a lot easier. That's all I'm saying. And they were penalized for a reason. I'm not going to say like nobody else was cheating because I'm sure that it was probably going on. It was probably a lot more prevalent than we'll ever know. The Denver Broncos lost draft picks because they circumvented the salary cap during their back-to-back Super Bowls. You could say that.
Well, let's take those Super Bowls
cheating.
away then. That's what you want to do. You want to take away the Spygate one,
I'm
and
not
you want to take away
stripping
those
them
now.
of anything. I'm just not sad that they're not first ballot Hall of Famers.
It's not that I'm sad about it. I just think they deserved it. Whatever. We can move on.
That's all right. We agreed to disagree. Going to the break, we were talking about the Denver Nuggets. They're in Motown tonight, taking on the surprise. I don't know. Do you think they're surprised still? The Detroit Pistons?
Absolutely not. Cade Cunningham's going to be a top 5 player in the NBA for the next 5 years.
I think it's more of a surprise their record. I think people knew that they were improved. They proved that last year. But for them to be, what do they have, 12 losses? They're ahead in the Eastern Conference. They're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference as it sits right now. Could this be a possible finals preview?
No.
No. On their side?
On both
Or you
sides.
don't think Denver's getting there?
I think Denver could get there, but if you made me bet money on it, no.
Yeah, where would you
if
rate?
you made me pick, I would say Knicks, Thunder.
Okay.
And that's probably cheating. They're probably the 2 best teams in each conference, so it's not like it's a outlandish statement to say that. I'm not going out on a limb there, but I think those are the best 2 teams in each conference.
Yeah, and well, last year when we were at this point, weren't we saying Thunder, Cavs?
Yeah, Cavs
they were running away
with it.
with both teams were at that point. Cavaliers have fallen back down to earth. Interesting this morning that now the Clippers. Did you see any movement on this today? The Clippers are trying to trade James Harden. I'm assuming
they did trade him.
Oh, did they get it
Yeah,
done?
it went through. He's a Cleveland Cavalier now.
Does that automatically mean Giannis?
To where?
To L.A.
Oh, I don't think so. Giannis is rumored to Minnesota or Miami.
I would hate it if it went to Minnesota. I mean, listen, man, you'd
hate it as a Nuggets fan or as a basketball fan?
As a Nuggets fan.
Okay, because it'd be pretty
Listen,
fun.
man,
Him and Ann Edwards together would be pretty fun.
Minnesota was the kryptonite for the Nuggets up until this most recent season. We had the 20-point blowout or loss, let them come back in Game 7 a couple years back. They couldn't beat them last year. Seems like they finally figured them out this year. To add that piece with a guy like Giannis would just make – I mean, I would put them up at the – Would you give them a shot to beat Oklahoma City then? If that
Minnesota?
Yeah.
I would still probably take the Thunder. I think it takes too long to gel and really get everything going. Plus, Giannis is hurt, or maybe it's just a trade thing that they're not playing him recently, but he has not played in a while in Milwaukee there, so I think it would just be too much too quickly to get everything on the right train tracks here to go make a finals
You
run.
like the Thunder a lot.
I mean, they're really good. I don't like them, but I think they're really good at basketball.
They're frustrating to watch.
I think that's fair.
I think, unless obviously the other night, I'm a Nuggets fan, so that needs to be said first. I can't stand the style of it. It just doesn't scream like a team that's should be vying for back-to-back titles to me.
They're so well-rounded.
That's
They go
the
10
point. That's
deep.
what they don't. I mean, other than SGA, I mean, everyone knows that people would recognize Chet Holmgren, but even
Jalen Williams has been
people,
great.
but he's not recognizable.
So you,
I'm
you just
saying
want
it's-
all the superstars to win.
No.
You
I'm
want
not saying that
you
at
want
all.
the champions to be cited based on paper, not on how good they play basketball.
No, hell no, not at all. Like, listen, man, you could say the Nuggets have a similar roster. There's not a lot of familiar faces. There's Jamal and Nikola. There's familiar faces to us here, and maybe Aaron Gordon because of what he did at U of A and then when he was with Orlando as well. But there's not, like, you just want to have a solid roster. The reason it's frustrating to watch him play is SGA he pushes off all the time. He gets all the calls. He gets to the line when he wants. And I'm not trying to diminish his skill set. He's a phenomenal basketball player. It's just one of those styles that stylistically it's tough to watch. And they are very good. And they're a rival. So, yeah, it's going to be frustrating. I just don't see them as a shoo-in. I think that they've been proven over the last month and a half that they're not as super strong as people thought they were when they were running away early in this season.
Yeah, they don't look like the dominant team that was going to set the wins record anymore, but they're still the one seed fairly comfortably out here in the West. So I think they just play a very connected style of basketball, which I think that aspect of it is fun. I think they are very physical on defense, which I appreciate a team that can play defense. The SGA foul baiting stuff, I'm not a fan of. I won't pretend to like that. But he's a really good basketball player outside of that as well. I think Alex Caruso is one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA as well. So I enjoy watching his game. So I think there's a lot to like there, and just a few things that are frustrating to watch.
So is it Nuggets Thunder in the conference final? Do you believe that?
I think it could be, but I think this Nuggets team could lose to a handful of teams in the West. I'm not predicting it. I would say they are the second best team in the West, but the second best team doesn't always make it to the conference finals.
So do you gauge a lot on the game the other night? The blowout loss to the Thunder at home?
Not necessarily. I think it showed that the Nuggets have to improve.
Here's
from
what I
they've
would
been
say
doing,
to you is
but
that this team, when they lost Nikola Jokic, we thought that he was going to miss 18 games, right? We counted it up. We're like, that would be a month. If you could, and I was here saying if you could tread water, go 9-9, you'd be fine. What they were able to do in his absence, is I'm not putting a ton of stock into Sunday night. I wanted to see a better game. I think they robbed us of that. Plus, Oklahoma City got on fire. I mean, Cason Wallace was at one point was just not missing 3-point shots. I think in that being the second game for Jokic coming back, I like what I think Zach said it the other day, that he was taking inventory and just watching things happen to where once they see them, because they have to play them another 3 times. Interesting that you had to wait till February just to get one matchup with them, but you'll play them another 3 times. And in all likelihood, if both teams do what they're supposed to do, you would see them in the postseason as well. I think that's where it falls. And you have to maintain that seeding so that you get that matchup when you want to, and you don't have to face them again in the second round.
Would it make you feel better if they lost to them in the conference finals versus if they lost to them in the conference semifinals?
No, I mean, not that it would make me feel better, but like there's teams that you know you'll get the best of to get there. Then you want the 2 best teams going at it. That's why brackets are set up that way.
I agree. So I hope that's the Western Conference Finals. I think that would be the best version of the Western Conference Finals if we saw it. But I think you need to put some respect on some of the other teams in the West. There's some good teams out here.
There's teams I'm afraid of.
Okay.
San Antonio scares me.
San Antonio's young and upcoming. Minnesota, Houston, the Lakers. I think JJ Redick's. I don't think the Lakers are going to win the title or even go to that far, but I think J.J. Redick's an incredible coach, and I like what he brings.
Lakers scare me because the whistles that happen in the NBA in the playoffs, and Luka Doncic he's a phenomenal basketball player. That's not even talking about LeBron James yet. So anything can happen once you get there. Nuggets just need to try and position themselves so that they can avoid those matchups until they absolutely have to see them. All right, coming up, the Avs win a bounce-back game over the weekend, come home and get shut out against an old-time rival. We talk about that power play, and the non-existent power play. Dante and I do that next.
Are the Denver Broncos an NFL destination once again?
They're half a football away from going to the Super Bowl, and you're going to have more money than you've ever had to spend, no dead cap, and quote QB on a rookie deal. I think the Broncos have become one of the more desirable destinations in the entire NFL to be with.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing a lawyer, but getting some guy who just watches courtroom dramas.
How does the defendant plead?
Guilty. Wait, what? Also, objection.
You object to what?
Erroneous.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Hey, can I get a whack at the gavel?
You wouldn't settle for just any lawyer, so don't settle for just any insurance. Get the real deal with State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Your air duct cleaning experts, Ductworks.
Hey guys, feeling cooped up this winter? Mark Schlereth here. You know these Colorado nights can get freezing cold with your furnace running non-stop just to keep things cozy. But here's the thing. While your heating system is working overtime, it's also blowing dust, dirt, and debris through your air ducts and straight into the air you breathe. That's where Ductworks comes in. Your trusted air duct cleaning experts. Using a powerful combination of scraping and vacuuming technology, the Ductworks team clears out years of buildup, grime, and other gunk hiding in your ductwork. The results? Cleaner, fresher air, better energy efficiency, and a healthier home or office for you and your family. Don't wait until spring. Breathe easier now with top-rated service from Ductworks. Call them at 303-425-0985 or visit them online today at ductworks.com for a free residential or commercial estimate.
303-425-0985.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040 and Jacobs Law with another cool story to share. James called 303 Law 4040, and he's like a lot of our clients, not looking to get rich, but he just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of medical bills. So we met with James like we do all of our 303 Law 4040 clients in person, and it's a good thing we did because we noticed James did not look so good. We sent him to the hospital to get checked out, and they did wind up admitting him. In the end, we got him feeling better and $125,000. He was over the moon. He came into the office to pick up his check and rang that victory bell. And the really cool part is James surprised us with a check of his own, a donation so we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303-LAW-4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303-LAW-4040.
Are you worrying about those upcoming credit card bills after the holidays? If you're a homeowner, there's no better time than now to call American Financing and wipe out that debt, eliminate the stress, and set yourself up for a strong 2026. The Fed dropped rates for the 4th time in December. American Financing can help you access that equity in your home at an interest rate in the low 5s. You heard that right, in the low 5s. That is a much lower rate than the average 20% or more credit card rate. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise to start the new year. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to see how much you can save. And they are closing some in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments. American Financing, Colorado's home for home loans. Call them today at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000 or online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 start at 6.196% for well-qualified buyers. Call 303-695-7000 for details about credit costs and terms.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by Roller Auctions.
Stay up to date on the Broncos with our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss. Presented by Fitness Gallery. Hear the latest from every practice and every game every single week during football season. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, final segment as we wrap up this edition of Denver Sports Tonight here on 104.3 The Fan. And Marcello Romano, Dante Gomez, yourself on the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. Let me pay off a couple of these real quick, Dante. Pat Bowlen was a legitimate owner in the NFL and was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He did more for the NFL than Robert Kraft ever dreamt of. I'm going to say that's wrong. I think Pat Bowlen was really a big part of a lot of big movements within the NFL that made it the sport that it's today. The popularity. I mean, it's king. It's 1, 2, and 3 probably in the U.S. before you get to college football, and then the other sports kind of fall. This one isn't, Dante, you are a Patriot sympathizer. Shame, Dante F.
It's not that I like the Patriots. It's nothing to do with that. I just could admit that they have won a lot of Super Bowls, and if you go based on the NFL record books, which keep the track of Super Bowls, they're pretty good at it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're not Hall of Famers. I think they are. And I don't like. Was I a little surprised that they both weren't first ballot? Yeah, I don't know how you could have had enough people have a difference of opinion unless it was almost like a coercion just to be like, let's make them wait. Let's make them sweat unless people got together on it.
A lot of jealous people out there, Cello, including one I'm sitting across from.
I'm not jealous. If there was a ballot in front of me, I couldn't do that. But I didn't have to deal with them personally. I know Bill Belichick was a little surly with the media, but I don't think anybody would hold somebody out of a Hall of Fame spot because of that. Behind the scenes, most people say he's a funny guy, nice guy. But I just don't feel bad that they're having to wait. Like, that's a first world problem. All right, we have to pay this off. The Colorado Avalanche have a problem, and it's been a problem for the past couple seasons, and it's the power play. Dante, we've been asked on the text line, what's wrong with their power play? They made one move in the offseason last year after falling short in the postseason, and that was to get rid of their power play coach, coordinator, whatever you want to call it. And what was it, Bennett, I believe was his name, to get another guy. And it's, I would say it's probably worse this year.
The new guy's worse than the old guy was.
So, like, and I asked the texter, I'm like, well, what would you say it is? Because obviously they tried pulling the coach, got a new one, and it hasn't changed at all. And that's going to be a big problem as you get ready for the postseason if you can't get that rectified before you get to the postseason. Not only that, but you're giving up shorthanded goals. You're not only not scoring, you're allowing teams to score on you when they are shorthanded. Big problem. That's crazy talking about a team and look at their record.
They're so good at hockey, and for some reason, that's their weakness, is that they can't score on the power play. To me, I think it has to do a lot with these teams that face them. They bunch it in front of the net, and they really make it confusing, put a lot of traffic out there. And outside of Val Nichushkin, the Avalanche aren't that physical of a team, and I think that works against them in some of these power plays, and these other teams know that, hey, if we just put a lot of traffic out in front of the goal, it's going to be really hard for the Avs to score on these power plays. I'm no hockey expert, but that would be my summation of why it's as bad as it is.
I get all of that, and I'd be like, well, the people have probably been doing that for a while with the amount of firepower that the Avalanche have. It's been bad basically since our boy Rantanen's been gone. He was an assassin on the power play. It's crazy that because if you go to ESPN.com or even NHL.com, just look at the stats and who's leading every category. Basically, you have an Avalanche player in every category. And at least if you're not leading it, they're in like the top 2 or 3 of every category. And they've had a phenomenal start to the season. So this one seems like you brought it up like we're being nitpicky earlier about the Broncos offense. This feels like that to me more so.
Oh, really? See, this seems like a bigger issue to me. I'm worried about this team. I think this is why they lost against the Dallas Stars last year in the playoffs. So to me, this can come back and bite them. I don't think this is as nitpicky. This team has high expectations. You have to go out and get it done, and you not scoring on the power play is not an excuse. More like a weak play, am I right?
Yeah. It's not a strong one. It's the opposite of power.
I was trying to think of what the opposite of power would be. I went with weak.
For Dante Gomez, Marcello Romano, you've been listening to DST on The Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by the Birdie Bar.